G'day Bomber fans, the 26-man squad for the Essendon vs Geelong pre-season game tomorrow has been announced. Some really interesting decisions thrown in there. Today I'm going to go through zone by zone, highlight what I like, what I don't like about the boys named. I will go through the absentees and what it means for them to be missing. This will hopefully be a better video than the one I posted last week. I was hoping for some more juice and info with that squad release, but it gave us nothing. I think this one tells a tiny bit more about us, the team to us fans, but let's just get into it. Now, before I start, I'm going to quickly go over the injury list super fast, because it feels like I've been talking about this one every day for the last month, so I will zoom through for those who are tired of hearing about it, and if you're unaware, feel free to pause and I guess read out the names yourself. So long-term, Jaden Hunter obviously out for the year, Kane Baldwin, the other guy who we're not going to see for ages. After that, we should expect to see all these blokes within the first 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 5 rounds of the season. Ben Hobbs, that AC joint injury, he should be back for round 1 or 2. Jake Kelly has a bit of a hamstring issue, same deal for him if not earlier. Sam Draper and that groin, he should be available for round 1. There were talks of him playing limited minutes in the reserves game against the Cats, but I don't think that's still happening. And same with Caddy, both really close, but I guess no risks taken, so they should be available round 1. Dylan Shield, again, early rounds, maybe a bit later than the other guys. That's about it, though. Oh, Tex Wangadine as well, sorry, always forget about him. He's going to be around the same time, a bit later than Dylan Shield, you would say. So, not a horrible injury list. Could be better, could be worse. Alrighty, so I might actually do this a bit differently this time around and show the team as it is listed by the club rather than the list of all the defenders and whatnot like I did last week. So, before I do, I'll go over the changes we have made. We have played with 28 last week, 26 this week. So, 2 players come in, Peter Wright and Jordan Ridley, who has recently signed a long-term deal. Obviously, one of our least important players, Kane Corns, if you know, you know. The 4 that come out of the team, Davey Jr. saw this coming a mile away, just not there in the pecking order. Same with Hayes. I think that was another one who got the chance because of injury. You got Wiedemann out, and the biggest one I think is Dyson Heppel, who is left out of the 26-man squad. It doesn't say because of injury. He was training with the reserves, so many saw it coming, but not too sure if he plays with the reserves tomorrow. I don't think he's been named. It would be very embarrassing if he was to. He is not part of our 4 emergencies. The other 3 guys that I listed coming out of the side from last week, they're in the emergencies for this week. Heppel is not. If someone gets injured before the game, you could see Hayes or Roberts or Wiedemann play. Heppel is not listed on the emergencies, which I think is really strange. Archie Roberts, by the way, is the other emergency listed instead of Heppel, which is good fun. Like that a lot. He was apparently awesome in the VFL game against Sandringham last week. Alright, the on-field team, Ridley, Mackay, Reid, Redmond, Laverty, and McGrath in defence. That is obviously going to change around. It's very tall. You got Martin in the guts as well as on the wing, as you can see. I think that's just for the sake of naming this team. I still see him playing most of the time down back. There is also Nick Cox on the bench, who will probably play down back a bit as well as the wing and forward where he was playing last week. I just don't know where he fits into this team. That's about it though for defenders. We obviously dropped 2 in Hayes and Heppel, but that's full strength backline. Those 6 with Martin, that's what I have at my best 22, as you would know if you saw my last video. Midfield is Durham, Parrish, Martin, who is more likely to play defence, as I said. Goldstein, Setterfield, and Merritt in the guts. That will be our main midfield stoppage crew. Goldstein, Setterfield, Merritt, and Parrish. Doesn't end there though. You got Sartas on the bench, who played a lot of wing last week. Cox played a bit of wing as well, so expect to see that. Brian in the ruck because Draper is missing. Dersmer is in the team too. Caldwell's up forward. I don't know how I feel about that. So yeah, fairly deep. Obviously Hobbs is still missing with that injury. Draper, Shield, even Kelly. So that's our most affected zone by injury, I would say, the midfield. So that could change around a lot come round 1. Forward line looks a lot better with Peter Wright in it. You got Caldwell, Langford, Gresham, Stringer, Wright, Perkins as well as there. What I'm intrigued by though are the guys on the bench. Everyone there, you got Harry Jones. For starters, we need to see him play well. But also the 3 pressure forwards, Hind, Menzie, and Guelphy. I only think there's room for 1 in our best 22, and it's tight between those guys. I personally think Hind showed the most last week, but this is the biggest audition for them, so it's a really important game for those 3 guys. Whoever plays the best is probably going to be leading the way for that round 1 spot. What do I think of this team? I think it's pretty much the same as last week, bar a couple couple of rookies. The only real point of interest is Dyson Heppel. I think that tells you a lot. He seemed fine in training from all accounts, maybe just not in the best 22. But realistically, I personally would have rathered a statement down the other end of the ground. Our forward line right now is a mess to judge. It's already hard enough with Caldwell and Stringer and Perkins and Gresham running through it, 4 guys who have that mid/forward tag. But then all the pressure forwards, 3 of them, in fact. There are 10 listed forwards in the team. That's just too much when you only really have 7 or 8 defenders. So I would have liked to see Heppel stay in if he is fit, and one of Guelphy, Hind, or Menzies given a wake-up call. I think that makes more sense for the outlook of the team, especially because I think it's hard for them to prove their worth all together in the same side. Keep 2 in, let the other 2 run around in the let the other one run around in the reserves. Because if Heppel is fit and is not playing 2s, because of, I don't know, pride, I think it's a waste. If that is the case, obviously it might not be. He might be carrying a slight knock like Caddy. He is quite old, but so is Goldstein, and he's running around like a 19-year-old. That's my 2 cents. If Heppel is fit, I think he deserves a place solely for the makeup of this team. Sure, you might think Guelphy or Menzies might be better than Heppel, but it doesn't mean they just garner a spot. It's all based on positions in my eyes. You can't have 15 general forwards playing instead of, Dyson Heppel. And based on positions and our forward line, I think it's too cluttered. So that's my one criticism with this squad. That is if Heppel is fit and not carrying a knock. If this is our best 26 and we still have Draper and Hobbs to come back for round 1, or hopefully they come back for round 1, you know what, for the sake of this argument, let's just suggest they aren't going to be back for round 1 and they're going to be injured. What does it mean for the 4 guys that are going to miss out on the best 22? Who are those guys that will be emergencies next time round? Because we're playing with 26. That is obviously 4 more than we play with for the regular season. So based on this squad, if I had to pick guys needing to perform to keep their place in the team or be in the mix for that round 1 spot, I would suggest Elijah Sartas and Nick Cox are probably in the emergencies mix, solely because I don't know where they play their best footy. Sartas obviously will be in the guts when he is at his best, but right now he's on the wing, and I think we have much, much better wingmen at the club than Sartas. Nick Cox, in fact, could play wing over Sartas, in my opinion. And that engine room's only going to get deeper when you have Jake Kelly and Dylan Shield coming back in. You also have Harry Jones is another one I think is struggling for form. You got the 3 small forwards as well that could easily be dropped, 2 of them. I think there's only really room for 1. That's already 4 or 5 players. And if Draper's not fit, do we line up with Jones, Wright and Langford and drop Nick Bryan? It's tough to say. I think there's 6 or 7 guys, maybe even 8 in this squad that we have right now against the Cats that could really be feeling pressure for round 1. I don't think this squad tells us as much as I was hoping to find out about our round 1 team, if I'm being honest, but we do know that Heppel may not be in that side. Davies out of favour, so too Wiedemann. A few guys injured that are not being risked. So I think I was hoping to find out more. I think we're really only going to find out the best 22 on that Thursday before the team's named, or when the team's named. But that is all. Another really quick video going over the squad put together last minute. Let me know what you think down below. Hopefully this squad is contentious enough to create a little conversation between you guys. And the good news is, if you are disagreeing about anything in the comments, it's only going to get smaller for round 1, so there's plenty to talk about then. That's the fun of preseason, figuring out what it means for the regular season. But nothing else to say really, apart from hopefully the boys show a little bit more tomorrow. Would hate to see us go out and get spanked again. That's all. Like, subscribe, and as always, go Bombers.